For this video, I'm going to create a couple of dimension styles that are pretty much basic, but nothing super fancy. We start with the dimension style manager popping up. We go over and pick new. We're going to call our first one decimal align dimensions. And we start with standard, and we choose the annotative because this is for annotative dimensions. We pick continue. And we're going to start with the lines. And I always like my colors by layer for almost everything. So I'm going to choose by layer for each of these, and I go down to the extension lines and I do the same thing, by layer, by layer, by layer, and by layer. You can use the by block and it will probably be okay, just my preference. I like the layers to control line types and weights and all that situation. Symbols and arrows, we go to here and leave this be, but we want our arrow size, we want it to be kind of, I call it industry standard, 1/8 of an inch, and I do not like the center marks, so I'm going to put none for center marks. If you want center marks, put them in here and set the size. Alright, and then whether they go arc symbol, just leave that be as is, etc. And let's go to text. Text, I just use a standard style. You can create one if you want to. I do want my text to stand out for dimensions, so I choose red for that. You can pick whatever color you want naturally. And as far as the height of text, again, industry standard to me is 1/8 of an inch. So I do 1/8 of an inch there. Alright, and everything else I leave here. Now the difference here is alignment of the text, and this style is aligned. And you'll see the text in here is horizontal because this is horizontal. When I pick this, notice how the text is now aligned with the dimension arrows and the lines between the arrows. So we check that and we go to fit, and I let this stay as is, either text or arrows best fit. And you can do all kind of fancy dim styles if you want to, but for basics this is just fine. Annotative is checked here, and we do not bother to change manually or etc. here. And in primary units, this is decimal. We'll leave it at 4 decimal places and no scale factor or anything else. But what we do want to do, we want to get rid of the trailing zeros. We don't want to see 1.5000, so we check trailing zeros to turn them off. And then on decimals, I usually put 1 or 2 degrees precision over here, and I'll also check trailing zeros here. I rarely use angular, so it's not that big of a deal. And then we go to alternate units. Now, we're not going to use alternate units, but if we did, we would pick display alternate units here, and then your thing is how to place them. You'll see here it's one's beside the other, and if we pick this, now one is above the other. On a rare occasion that we use this, this is what I prefer, but for now we're going to uncheck this so we don't use it. And tolerances, that's for machine design precision, and we're not doing that, but these are the different styles that are available. So after we have done this, we simply pick OK, and we pick close, and now we go up here and we pick a dimension and put it on a dimension layer, and pick here and drop it down. And that's the size for 3 inches equals a foot. And now if we do 1 foot equals 1 foot, and we put another dimension in here, and we'll just use the same pick points by snapping here and drop down. And you can see when I wheel in here the difference in the size. And because it's an annotative dim style, and these scales down here control everything, that shows you what will happen and what your dimensions will look like. And if I go here and do 1 inch equals 1 foot, back out here, we'll do one more dimension here and here, and now you'll see the size of it. It throws it all the way outside of the arrows, so it gives you a whole lot of flexibility. Now let's go back and do a dim style again. We're going to do a new one. We're going to start with our decimal, but we're going to call this one architectural arch, and we're going to make it horizontal just for the fun of it. Okay, it's also annotative, so we do continue. And now we'll go back to our lines and start here, and everything's by layer, so we saved ourselves time by doing using a previous style where this was all set that way. Symbols and arrows, same thing, a size 1/8 of an inch. Text, we leave everything the same here. The fit, the same situation. What we want to do is we want to go to our primary units and we want to change it to architectural, and we'll change our precision to a 32nd of an inch in this particular instance. Now in this case here we want to suppress 0 feet. We don't want to see 0 feet 6.5 inches, so we've checked that and we leave the degrees be, and now we need to go back here to the fit situation, and the text, here it is. This is going to be horizontal, so we have to check this box for horizontal. So technically we only had to change a couple of things. So now we pick OK here, and that now is our current style. So we close, wheel out for a little area here, and we pick a couple of places here, and now you'll see the size of that. And again, if I go down here and I change the scale on this to 6 inches equals a foot, do another dimension using the same exact points, and look at the difference in size. That is basically annotative dimension styles, and a way to create a couple of them. And you can, create lots of them if you want to, or modify as you go along. That's strictly up to you. Good luck.